Okay, welcome to episode 12 of the Joe Dez Hour. We have Jimmy Kannally in with us today. He's going to Assumption University. He's going to be playing golf there, majoring in finance, but we have a special announcement to make today. Jimmy here will be running a little subsection of the Joe Dez Hour called the Joe Dez Tee Time. It is our first subsection of the Joe Dez Hour. This one will be focused on golf, and Jimmy, of course, going for college for golf. Pretty clear why I chose him. So, Jimmy, you want to give just a little bit of background, your experience with golf to start off with?
Yeah, so I started playing when I was young. My dad just took me to the course for a little bit. And then 8th grade, I had a knee injury. I was playing football at the time. They told me I couldn't play football anymore, which people don't believe. But so that's when I kind of started my love for golf. Played freshman year. I didn't really play great on the team. And then I went and I did a golf trip in Scotland for about 10 days. And everybody there was better than me, and that's kind of like when my competitive instinct kicked in, and I was like, I can't be having this anymore. So I started practicing like every day, really getting after it, and I had a lot of good mentors for me. So started playing more and more, and eventually got kind of out of my shell and started shooting a little better scores.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. You obviously are like a fan of the PGA Tour and stuff like that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's why we have you covering that. I obviously have watched it a couple times. In the summer, probably get a golf match or two in between the two of us. We'll post on Joe Dez Tee Time, little Joe Dez Hour collab right there. It'll be pretty sick.
Yeah.
But then, so Jimmy, also, as you were obviously going to be taking over that channel and taking over that basically section of this, you want to give a little bit of history on your broadcasting and like podcasting experience?
Yeah, so I mean, I haven't had much. I've filmed a couple with like my friends just to like see how it would go. Not a great public speaker, but I like to think it's fun. I feel like I know a decent amount for my age. I've had a lot of people like give me some wisdom. So podcasts, I feel like are a good way for me to like spout that, I guess. But I'm excited for this and the future that the Joe Dez Tee Time holds.
Yeah, no, exactly. I can do a lot with that channel is a big thing because we can get golf-specific interviews on there too. Start doing just a bunch of different things with that. Obviously, you're going to be playing golf a lot during the summer. Can't imagine you post or don't post like certain highlights from that.
Yeah.
There'll be a lot of things that we can do with that. Obviously, PGA Tour just happened. When stuff like that comes up, or was it the Masters that just happened?
It was the Masters.
The Masters just happened. Yeah, okay, I realized I misspoke there. But Masters just happened, so stuff like that, we're going to be able to keep updates on that. You won't have to watch every single match of golf at that point because we'll be doing it for you, which is nice. So, moving on, obviously, wanted to make that announcement before we move on. But, Jimmy, I'll give you a little bit of an interview so I can actually learn about you a little bit more, too. You're going to Assumption University for golf. What was the scouting process for that like, basically? And did you really have any thought in your mind you weren't going to any school besides Assumption?
Yeah, I mean, it was a little brutal for me. I was hoping we were going to talk about it. It's definitely a humbling process. So I started emailing coaches when I was a junior. Didn't really have great stats. I reached out to probably about 30 schools then. Cut like BC. I know I reached out to like Elon, where my sister goes. I got maybe 2 responses of those 30 emails I sent. And then I decided to use that kind of as motivation. Took that into my next year. Played pretty good golf. And then I started emailing more schools. Got definitely a few responses. My final 2 were Assumption University in Worcester and then Drew University, which is a D3 school in New Jersey. And Drew is like both of those coaches. They had one retire, but they were both absolutely phenomenal to me. I can't really thank them enough. But I ended up choosing Assumption just because that campus felt better. I liked the people more. I liked the coach. And the team was pretty big, and I heard that it was like a brotherhood. So that's kind of what drew me to go there. And it took about maybe a month for me to finally decide.
Yeah, no, especially when you have the campus life, you have the actual connection with the teammates. That seems like that was the obvious choice between those two.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I had like maybe one friend that I met on the Drew team before that. But when I went on my visit, like I met him. He was good to me, but like I didn't see much of the student body as a whole, and I just felt like if the campus wasn't like super live on like a Saturday, then I didn't know if I wanted to go there just because I want to see people out. It was nice weather.
Did you just not see anybody walking?
Oh, there was maybe 5 people I saw.
Yeah, I can't imagine that didn't affect your decision a little bit then. Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. If it's a Saturday too, it's nice that you want the whole group to be outside.
Yeah, especially like when I went, it's not a huge like business school. So when I had gone and I spoke to people about the business school, I mean, I didn't really get much of an answer or much as I wanted. So I was like, Assumption seems like a better choice here. So actually, right after my visit, I called the Assumption coach on my ride home with my parents in the car and told him I was going to go there.
Yeah, no, if it doesn't fit your major too much either, you definitely made the right decision with Assumption, because now you're going to be able to actually play golf. You're going to be pretty close to home overall, too. You're going to be able to see your parents whenever you want. And you obviously pick the one that prefers you for business, obviously.
Yeah.
Is Assumption, would you say, more of a business-focused school than anything else, or is there kind of a different focus for most of the school?
It's a liberal arts school, so they have a bunch of different majors. I know nursing is really big there. They have a really good nursing school.
Really?
But luckily, my coach's wife is the head of the business school, so she's also going to be my advisor in college. So I heard she's just absolutely phenomenal to student athletes, especially kids on the golf team. So that's kind of also what drew me there.
Yeah, you've got some inside connections right there. You can really talk to her husband if you really want to at some point if your grades fail to get back on the team. But no, I don't think you're going to have to worry about that, Jimmy, obviously. Put a lot of work in to get to this point.
Absolutely.
So, Jimmy, you've played golf basically your whole life, you said, right? What would you say throughout that time has been the biggest lesson that you've learned from playing golf with different teammates or by yourself?
Keeping an even head. Absolutely. Golf is, people don't believe it, golf is one of the hardest sports in the world because it's just you out there. It's you in a course that's designed to make it harder for you. And I mean, in golf, you hit a lot of bad shots. And it's just about kind of keeping an even head throughout that. And you can't let like one bad shot get to you. And when I was younger, I didn't do a great job of that. And once I had played with some better players, I know there's a kid, Bennett Berg. He's plays at Bentley now, who's our rival, unfortunately. But he was always a good player, and I asked him like why, and he always said it was like I never saw him get mad over a golf shot. If he had a bad one, he came back with a better one.
Yeah.
So
now, what's good about that mentality and that lesson being instilled in you young is that actually teaches you stuff in life. Like, you don't want to get sad over just one small thing bad happening. You got to keep pushing forward. Just next shot might be the one that goes in the hole.
absolutely.
Yeah, okay. So, Jimmy, you obviously mentioned your mentors earlier. Who were those mentors that helped you throughout your golf career?
I'd say my dad. My parents are a big one. My dad, just because he understood that. He was a businessman. And he kind of recognized in some sports that, like, especially in football, like, I may, like, let up a play and I would just kind of, like, beat myself up over it. And he coached me in football, like, when I was younger. And he was just like, you can't let that happen. It didn't really kind of, like, set in for me until I started playing golf. And that's when I really saw it. But my dad, my coach this year, Angel McLeod, couldn't thank her enough. She did a lot for me. She preached it as well. She was a really high-level golfer back in the day. So I'd probably say those are my big two.
Yeah, so was that coach like a personal trainer, or was that your coach at the school?
That was my coach at the school. So at 3 years we had Coach Anderson, and then he retired going into my senior year, and Coach McLeod came in. So our team was kind of like a test run for her, I guess. We were her first team at Fian. And she was just huge. I mean, she knew a lot about the golf, like about the game itself. And she had been to some big tournaments, like some national tournaments when she was younger. So she just taught us about kind of keeping an even head, and then just like the grind. I mean, you're out there for 4 hours, just you by yourself. So you got to kind of like be able to shake things off if they get rough.
Yeah, golf is a mental game just as much as a physical game. But were you saying that she played in national tournaments?
Yeah, I don't know the full history, but she played in some national tournaments. The USGA runs, which is the United States Golf Association. They run amateur tournaments for like the whole nation. I mean, they have fields as deep as like 260 people. So she's played in some events in those and played well, I believe. And her experience kind of just like she taught us about it. And she's like a gritty player too. Like one time she told us a story that you get put on time watch sometimes if you take too long. And it was one of the other girls' fault. And she like ratted her out because she didn't want the penalty on her.
Yeah, no, having a like former player as a coach almost always works best because they actually know what the players are thinking. They've been in that mindset before. They can really just relate to the players a lot more, I feel like. Would you say that's how it was with your coach?
Absolutely. I had a couple like other friends that have been like players that I learned from, more so just watching them play rather than them like teaching me. Another one was like Brad Gellin, who's also playing at Bentley. So I met him my freshman year, and then he left my junior year. And he was another mentor for me because we're both like kind of similar, but he was just like talented, and he is the most even-keeled kid I've ever met in my entire life.
Yeah, it's funny that both of your mentors just go to the rival school that you're going to.
Yeah, I know.
You're going to be facing off against them next year. But we are going to take our first break of the Joe Dez Hour. We will be back for the second half. Just want to make sure this video doesn't get corrupted, obviously, after what happened with Case Makins and Dante Bruschi. We'll be right back, though. Okay, we are back from that break. We are back for episode 12 of the Joe Dez Hour. Jimmy Kannally is with us, the new host of the Joe Dez Tee Time. Check it out on Instagram. I will have it linked in the description down below. But, Jimmy, we're going to hop right back into this. Jimmy, you grew up with a dad who was a coach you mentioned before. Would you say that having a coach like that as a dad instilled a little bit more competitive spirit inside you?
I would say absolutely. I mean, like, he's always watching you play. And he's just kind of like a old school kind of guy. I mean, you can ask some of the guys on the freshman football team, especially Matt Saunders. But just kind of having him around. I mean, I would come home and I'd be like upset that I played bad, and he would console me a little bit. He'd be like, "You're gonna do better next time," but then he would also be like, "Use that for next time." I mean, like it wouldn't just be like, he'd be like, "All right, go out and practice. Like if you play bad, don't come home, go practice." So it's just kind of like those things that make you better, just because like he's there if you need him, but he's also there to push you if you need it, and sometimes you do kind of need that kick. And then as well, one of my friends that I play with, who I remember at Walpole Country Club, I've been playing against him. He started golf later than I did and started beating me almost as soon as we started playing. He's just a talented kid. His name's Mikey Matheson. He goes to KP. But, I mean, we just play matches together all the time. We practice together. We don't ever go a day without competition almost. I mean, if we're practicing, we're seeing who can put it closer to the pin or who can hit a farther drive. And that kind of just makes you better as a player because you always just want to beat the person you're playing against.
Yeah, having someone that you can directly compare to yourself, that is a massive part of it, because you have somebody that's way better than you or way worse than you, you're not really going to learn too much from that. But if you're neck and neck with the guy, you're going to actually just want to get over him. He's going to want to get over you, so it just keeps pushing you up like a stepladder kind of.
Absolutely. I mean, we had a kid on our team this year and last year. His name's Chad Correa. He's a junior, one of the most impressive golf players I've ever seen. I mean, he's better than me.
Really?
Absolutely. He's unbelievable. I've seen him do things with a golf club that I didn't know were possible. But just like, I mean, he was our number one, and I'm a senior, and I'm the number two. He's making me better. I don't want to lose to him. I mean, I'm the senior.
Yeah.
So it just makes the team more competitive as well. I mean, everybody's just trying to beat him, and it makes him better after. I mean, competitiveness is the best thing you can have in a team, as long as it's lighthearted.
Yeah, I like that you kind of mentioned the dignity aspect, though, where you're supposed to be starting as a senior. You're supposed to be number one there. I like
exactly.
That's pushing you a little bit. But so, Jimmy, moving on a little bit, you mentioned a little bit of a shortcut to this earlier. Talked about your injury that stopped you from playing football. How would you say having to shift just completely different sports, football to golf, change your mindset and outlook on it?
I would say it was definitely different. I mean, in football, I wasn't like the most tenacious kid. I liked the game, but having like somebody tell me that I couldn't play anymore and I had to find a new sport. I was playing baseball for a little bit and I liked it, but golf was a sport where I could play. I had a knee brace. I could play with my knee brace. And it wasn't like demanding on the knee as much. And it just kind of made me like want to practice more because I was out there. It was something I could do. Like I couldn't run for a whole year. I didn't say that, but I had a big knee brace on. I couldn't run, but I could play golf. So it was like, if I'm bored, go play golf. Like, why not? And then you just kind of start shooting better, and it's addicting because you're getting better, and then eventually you kind of become the player that you see yourself being.
Yeah, Jimmy, I could see you just getting excited talking about that. Would you say there was a point that you can remember vividly where you fell in love with the sport of golf?
I would say it was when I went to the trip in Scotland.
Really?
Because it was like I flew with my friend, no parents. We get over there. It's me. I remember we get in a van to go to the place. It's about an hour and a half ride, and it was me and my friend, a kid from Maine that we met at the airport and flew with, and then two kids from New Jersey, and we just like hit it off. I mean, we're all the same. We were all the same age, and we all had the goal of just like having the time of our lives, playing some of the best golf courses in the world. And I just remember playing against some of these kids. Like, I mean, a kid from China was there, a kid from Canada, Norway. Like, you just saw these players be good, and I was like, I want to be like that. Like, one day I'm going to be like that. And luckily that's how it turned out. after a lot of practice. But I mean, there's one lesson I can say is practice makes perfect.
Yeah, you got real life examples from all around the world. Like, it's fully international at that point, just different countries meeting in one spot. That is a perfect place to fall in love with the sport. So, Jimmy, next up, I wanted to ask you basically, we brought up the recruiting process a tiny bit earlier, but could you go a little bit more in depth about that entire process and how it was for you?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, I want to speak to, if anybody's listening that wants to play sports in college, please listen up to this part. It's a humbling process. Number one, it's going to take a long time. You're going to send a lot of emails. That's number one, is send as many emails as you can, because you're going to get a feel for schools if you just go on visits. Even if you don't think you'll like the school, you'll get a feel for where you want to go. You're not going to get as many responses as you think. You might. I mean, if you're a kid like Dante, who's just super talented. But send a lot of emails. Get on social media. I know for baseball and a lot of other sports, football, Twitter is a big social media platform. There's NCSA, which is another one. I think it's Next College Student Athlete Organization, where you can just build a profile and colleges can see you off of that. I know I got in touch with a couple coaches off of that. But it's going to be a long process. I mean, you're going to be nervous. You got phone calls where a coach is just going to call you. You got to pick up and tell him about what's going on in your sport. Even if you have, like, if you're coming off of a bad game, you got to tell him about it. And it puts you on the spot. I mean, it makes you, definitely humbles you for sure. I know I've said that before, but it's a long process. And if you can find somebody to talk to that knows about it, then I encourage you to do that, because that was a big thing for me as well, was I could talk to a couple kids that were going through it as well. And it just makes you feel better, and it gives you things to talk about to coaches, make you feel less nervous, give a feel for what kind of school you want to go to.
Yeah, I'm happy that you mentioned the point of talking to other people who've gone through the same process, because a lot of people, when they go into the recruiting process without any prior experience, basically, it's kind of like going to a maze without a map. But when you have somebody actually leading you, it's like they give you the full directions of how to get to the center.
Yeah, I unfortunately had a kid that I talked to maybe a little bit, Brad Gillen. He plays at Bentley now. But it was, for the most part, I was like kind of by myself. Like, I didn't know. I knew I wanted to like talk to coaches and give them updates as to how I was playing, but I didn't know how to like send the proper email, like things like that. You have to word it. You have to sell yourself. That's one thing that I did, because I wasn't like a D1 prospect. I wasn't phenomenal. I had to send an email that made these coaches believe that I'm a hard worker. Like, I'm a kid that's not going to stop until I get what I want.
Yeah, that's what they want every time. If you have the talent but you don't actually put the work in, it's not going to actually help at all.
Pointless.
If you don't really have too much talent but you're working every day to improve it, the coaches are going to want that 10 times more.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm the kind of kid that, I mean, I want to go in as the last kid on the team, and I want to prove to them that I'm the number one kid on the team when I leave. Like, that's the mentality that I want to have going into college, and that's what I think every college student athlete should have.
Yeah, a little bit of an underdog with a chip on the shoulder. That is 100% the best way to do it. So, Jimmy, we've obviously talked a lot of golf so far, but for the viewers, do you want to give a little bit of insight into what you are like in your personal life, what you actually enjoy doing besides golf, just so they know who's going to be hosting the Joe Dez Tee Time? Basically.
Yeah. I mean, I hang out with friends. Obviously, that's number one. Coming into Fian was definitely a little weird, meeting people that I had never had before.
Yeah.
I have a good core group of friends there, especially Matt Linehan, Andrew Cook, Matt Murray, Ryan Devaney. Those are the kids that I went to middle school with. So it was easy having familiar faces. And then I still hang out with some of the kids in my hometown, which is nice. I mean, I fish every once in a while, just kind of do fun things. We go bowling, like whatever we can do on a Friday or Saturday night to make it fun. Go out to Taco Bell late at night. Like, there's nothing better than that.
Yeah.
I'd probably say, I mean, that's about it.
Yeah, no. I obviously wanted to give a little bit of insight, because we have kind of only shown you as just a golf guru at this point. We haven't really shown who you actually are. I think the viewers are going to appreciate that little segment right there. But we'll hop back in this a little bit. Obviously, we've talked about a lot of topics so far: recruiting process, your injury, competitive spirit. But Jimmy, do you want to give a little bit of shout out to the people who actually helped you get here today real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my parents, that's number one. My family, my mom, my dad, my sister. Mikey, who's a kid that I've known for a long time, absolutely talented. He's playing hopefully in college in the future. Chad Correa, another kid that was on our Fian golf team this year, just pushed me harder and harder. And then there's a couple kids I just like my friends. I mean, they've always been there when my recruiting process was tough. I mean, they were always there to be like, it's going to get better. And I mean, eventually it did. And it's going to play out how you want to in the future. Coach Angel this year, Mr. Anderson, my previous 3 years, Coach Loisel, just all people that I have learned something from. And taking that with me into college and into life it's special. I mean, some people don't have that, and I feel like I could be a mentor for some people that I know that are younger than me. So it's cool to be like know a lot, especially from the people that I've met, and then be able to like spout that onto younger kids.
No, exactly. Having people actually care for you and want to support you in what you're doing, that is a massive part of growth. You really can't do it if people are just ignoring what you're doing, not helping you out at all.
Mm-hmm.
So for the final segment, Jimmy, I'm going to hop back in the golf topic a little bit right here.
That's all I do.
Yeah, we've had a couple episodes where I've done this little segment. It usually comes out pretty good. Would you like to say basically any funny or really unique golf story for you that you can think of right now?
Oh, God. The first one I can come up with was this year, hockey kid, Aiden Scanlan. Yeah, he hit me with a golf ball.
Really?
Yeah, so at tryouts, I mean, usually in golf, you're supposed to stand behind like the person so you don't get hit. I was walking up to my ball up by the green. He was a little while back. He's not the greatest golfer, but that's okay. I mean, he knows that. And he beamed me with a golf ball. Another kid, Carol, she was the best girl golfer on our team. She got beamed with a golf ball by another kid that was a junior. So, I mean, those are always funny because it doesn't really hurt that bad. You're just kind of shocked.
Where did it hit you, Jimmy?
It hit me in the calf. I said it didn't hit me. Yeah. Just so the kid didn't feel bad. But, I mean, I've gotten beamed by a couple golf balls in my day.
Yeah, no, that's fair. At first you were saying it doesn't hurt that bad. I was imagining you getting like hit in the neck and saying that for a second. I feel like that would hurt pretty bad.
And then another one was like, I was playing in a tournament this summer, and I had like 117 yards into the hole, and I put it in. But before it went in, I turned to the kid that next to me, and I go, I think that just went in. But you couldn't see the ball.
Yeah.
So, like, I hit it, perfect shot, and I turned to him, and I was like, by the way, I'm pretty sure that just went in. Walked up, it was in the cup. So that one was definitely cool.
Yeah, he's got the one-liner in right before you did that, Jimmy. Dang. Kid probably walked home just to feed after, like, wow, he really just had to flex on me after he hit the shot, too. That's messed up. But nah, this has been episode 12 of the Joe Dez Hour. Thank you, Jimmy, for coming in.
Thank you, Joe
out,
Dez.
Yeah, make sure you check out the Joe Dez Tee Time on Instagram. Jimmy Kannally will be running that. He is the host of that. Gonna make a little bit more subsection soon. We will see how it progresses. Thank you for watching episode 12.